Hi everybody, I'm Captain Floopers, and that's Soylent Greg, and welcome back to Shin Megami Tensei. First off, a bit of an explanation as to what's going on here. I made a pretty marginal oversight in preparing to record this part, and as a result, Greg's audio was muted for the entire video. The visuals are all fine, the game audio is there, my audio is there, but Greg's audio, not so much. I could have scrapped this footage and tried again next week, but there are a couple of things going against that. First off, I did make some noticeable progress in the dungeon we're in, and we would be unable to redo that progress considering that I haven't made any backup saves up to this point. This is a mistake that I will rectify going forward. Secondly, it's been about 3 weeks since the last part of the SMT playthrough, as 2 weeks ago Greg wasn't able to record, hence the Jets of Time run, and last week I was not in the headspace to record, so we didn't do anything. This will have made the 3rd week in a row with no SMT, so enough is enough, the show must go on. I'll be using the video footage to show what's happening, and I'll be doing this voiceover to summarize. As a result, I will be cutting out a lot of the wandering around and the random battles and all of the random conversations we have about Star Wars and stuff, because it'll be one-sided anyway. You can't hear what Greg's saying. So naturally, this will be a much shorter video than normal. So in the previous part, Thor, the Norse god of, among many things, lightning, fertility, and the protection of humanity, showed just how good he is at that latter aspect by dropping a nuke on Tokyo. Shirley teleported us to the relative safety of Kongo Kai, some manner of afterlife where we met some guy named Enno Ozuno, who we affectionately refer to as Enzo and sometimes also Diaper Jesus for some reason. I'll be going with Enzo for this video. After wandering around completely alone for a while, we were able to find and recruit not only some new demons, but also a few of our old ones, as well as Steve and Malcolm, and when we left off, Enzo had tasked us with finding a Soma Spring and bringing him some back, because I guess he's too lazy to do it himself. So I start the section off by absent-mindedly recruiting a Nekomata into my team. Recruiting new demons is something that I was actually trying to avoid doing since my comp's capacity was running out, and I still had a few of my older recruits left that I wanted to find. Talking to demons while having one of their kind already in your purview will just end encounters peacefully, so I think I instinctively went to talk to Nekomata on the off chance I already had one to end the fight, and then ended up trying to button mash my way out of the ensuing conversation. From there, I continued to explore Kongo Kai in search of the Soma Spring. I think it helps to mention that as far as layout is concerned, Kongo Kai really isn't that bad. It's only one floor and it's cleanly split up into 3 sections. The inner area where I started, the outer area that opened up once I got back Steve and Malcolm, and the middle area that I'll be exploring later. It's a little maze-like, but navigation is simplified by the fact that I have Steve's mapper spell, which allows me to have a mini-map on screen as long as the moon phase isn't at new moon. And the compass on the HUD and the auto map in my comp do a good job of keeping me from getting completely lost. The frustration comes in the fact that A, the aesthetics are featureless and monotonous, and B, the encounter rate is fairly high here. Yes, this is a Mega 10 game, and that's to be expected, but it just feels higher than it normally had been up to this point, and while the enemies can be manageable as long as I'm careful, it does get annoying to see some of the same ones over and over. I don't think I would mind so much if I had the enemy radar feature of later games, and I would just be like, oh, the radar here is orange or red or whatever, so I can expect high encounter rates here. It really wouldn't alleviate things, but just having something like that would give me small peace of mind, you know? As I explore the outer perimeter, I do start coming across these ghost-like folks, who, as it turns out, seem to be based off of memories of people I interacted with before. At first I thought they might be ghosts or something, as this lady just says some generic lines about God, but as it turns out that in the Shinjuku Mall, there were already people taking law and chaos sides during Godot's coup, and one of each side had an NPC stating generic I worship God or I worship Lucifer lines. This lady was the I worship God NPC. It really doesn't register with me until I find other PCs, whom I will point out later, that that's what was going on. In the meantime, though, we do come across Enzo, who gives us some cryptic stuff about how alignment will affect things. It never occurs to me to question the fact, though, that Enzo does indeed seem to leave his little room sometimes, so why doesn't he just get the Soma himself? In all honesty, it's obvious this is some sort of test or trial or whatever he's subjecting us to, but I just kind of find it funny that no one else seems to question this from what I've seen. Afterwards, we do get Pyrojack back, and then come across the shadow or whatever of Shirley. Not the heroine, but our next-door neighbor who's Steve's girlfriend. She just says some dialogue that she had given us when we visited her early in the game, hammering home the fact that these are indeed based on the protag's memories. In the next side room, we find Bogle and bring him back into the group, and on the next map corner, we find the spring and grab some Soma for Enzo. This also completely heals us, which is nice. It does not, however, revive any of the demons that got knocked out on the way here. Sorry, Kinari. I take some time to memorize the spring's location on the way, for reasons that will become apparent shortly. Also, again, while trying to button mash my way out of conversing with a demon, I just kind of recruit Gandharva. Enzo shows up again and spouts off some stuff about how my alignment can be affected by things like the demons I use or the places I use to heal up. Confused, we fact-checked on the internet and concluded that what Enzo stated was just poorly worded, and the only things that can actually affect my alignment are the choices I make during the story. The demon's alignment just affects who they'll work with in the party, and what healing locations will heal them, just not the story at all. Anyway, we head back to Enzo at Kongo Kai's starting location, who drinks down the Soma and tells us to go back and get more. Long story short, we do, only for Enzo to tell us, nah, he was just kidding, and that he had enough the first time. What a dick. Enzo now has another task for us. There are 2 weapons stashed away in the middle section of the dungeon, and he wants us to bring those back. The catch is that he has other stuff that he wants Steve and Malcolm to do, so he yanks them from our party, and we can only go forward from here with whatever demons I can summon. Unfortunately, the 2 spots formerly occupied by my human compatriots can't be filled with more demons. This is a similar phenomenon from earlier in the game, where Shirley had joined my party after Steve and Malcolm temporarily left, and I wasn't able to fill that last slot then either. One of my theories is that this is some sort of glitch brought about by the translation patch. After all, the original patch that this patch was built off featured bugs that ranged from not ever letting you access the gun store in Kichijoji to completely locking you out of the law ending no matter what. The other theory is that this is some feature of the vanilla game to prevent you from having party slots filled when those human party members inevitably return, as that might otherwise lead to the game crashing or something. I'm not familiar with playing the game vanilla since I can't completely read or understand Japanese, so I'm not entirely sure and I just have to put up with it, I suppose. The annoying thing about this is that I was now down to 2 party members worth of damage output, making encounters more of a slog to get through. I'd probably complain more about the lack of healing and utility caused by Steve's absence in particular, but from that standpoint it really wasn't too bad. The mapper spell still kept active until the next new moon, and healing was more than capably handled by Apsaris, who provided full party heals, defense buffs, and an excellent MP pool to keep it up. So anyway, there are indeed 2 weapons in the middle section of Kongo Kai, which also kind of neatly splits that section in 2 for ease of exploring, at least for me. While exploring the eastern part of the middle section, we were able to locate and re-recruit Gamagan, but my early random recruiting ended up biting me in the ass as we were now full up. I ended up having to dismiss Kobold, as I saw him as the weakest demon in our party by this point. We also came across a memory shade of Shirley, the actual heroine this time, echoing the last things she said to us before the nuke hit. So yeah, the weapons. Each weapon, as we learned, is pretty powerful, but can only be wielded by characters of a specific alignment, one for Law and one for Chaos. They also each have a Phantasm boss guarding them, and if you're not the same alignment as the weapon that you approach, the Phantom will fight you. Since I'm neutral aligned for this playthrough, this means that not only can I not equip either of the weapons, but I'll also be fighting both Phantasms. At least I'm getting more XP out of the deal, so that's better than nothing. I fight who I assume to be the Law-aligned Phantasm, and it does take a bit. None of the status spells I cast on him seem to stick, and he could hit pretty hard with Agilao. While I did experiment a bit during battle, my strategy ultimately was to have the protag use his sword, Nekomata attack with Zanma, Kinari use Bufala to do some decent damage, as well as freeze the Phantasm and take away his turns, and Apsaris was on healing duty. Apsaris was absolutely the MVP here, healing more than the boss could damage us, even after Kinari ran out of MP and was unable to hinder the Phantasm's actions any further. We get the Guillotine Axe, but it was getting late by this point, so I decided to hold off on the other weapon for now and fuse some demons before calling it for the night, if only to free up some space for any pre-nuke demons that are still waiting to be reintegrated into my squad. I end up fusing Nekomata and Gamagan into Werecat, which is kind of like an upgraded Nekomata in some ways, and I also plan of using 2 other demons in my group here to make Atsuyu in the future, as it looks really powerful from where I am, but it's also too powerful for me to summon right now, as I'm only level 24. But I can fuse it once I get to level 27, so it's not too far off. In the next part, we will be exploring the next section of Kongokai to get that second weapon, and hopefully finally be able to leave this dungeon once and for all so we can see firsthand what became of Tokyo. So until then, I've been Captain Floofers, and I'll be here next time. Join me, won't you?